Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are, wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, Digital Media Relations Manager here in Chesterfield. Very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. I'm always so happy to have repeat guests on the show. Always so excited to talk to people that I've talked to before, because there's always kind of an update of things like, hey, what's been going on since we last spoke, or what, what's changed with your department. In this case, we have a guest who is going to come back on the show who is now in a new position. So I get to talk to Carolyn Jensen about being the new Director of Library Services here in Chesterfield. Carolyn, welcome back to the podcast. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you so much for coming back. Obviously, congratulations again on being hired as the new director for Chesterfield Public Library. I know that when we talked, what was that, like a year and a half ago or so? One of the things we touched on a lot, and I do want to kind of touch on that again today, is sort of a lot of the things that libraries do outside of books and those kinds of things. But before we get started, I do want to give folks who maybe didn't hear you on episode 48 a chance to sort of hear a little bit about your background and tell me a little bit about how it is that you came to be involved in this line of work. Because I love this story, and I want you to tell it again.
Sure. Libraries have been a part of my life, forever, since I existed, basically. I started going to libraries as a very small child. My mom would bike me up to our local library in New York when I was teeny. And we would get a big stack of picture books, and once a week we would go there. It was a wonderful library. It was a Carnegie Library in New York, which was, a gorgeous library. It was falling apart, yes, but that's not what I saw. I saw this kind of palace, and it was just my absolute favorite thing. Yeah. My family, we didn't have a lot. My parents both were high school graduates. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was a detective in New York, and they worked hard. And the library was a way for me to kind of see another world outside of the world I grew up in. Right. And it just showed me so many things out there that I could achieve and I could strive for. And I think that's what the library means for a lot of people. Yeah. And because it's a world of ideas, it's a world of experiences, it's a world where different people come together from all walks of life. Absolutely. And there's no judgment. Everyone's there just to better themselves and to be in a place of peace and a place of kind of introspection and learning. Yeah. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful environment. And that stayed with me my entire life, to the point where my first job was actually being a page at the New York Public Library, which was shelving the books, which is an amazing job, because if you love books, that is the job for you, I tell you. Absolutely. And so, went on from there. I worked in academic libraries, I worked in other public libraries, and then eventually came to Chesterfield as an assistant branch manager at the La Prade Library. Okay. And I've been with Chesterfield for, 19 years. Right. Yeah, and I basically worked in every position there is to work in Chesterfield Public Library. Which for me has been great, because I've seen all of those functions up close and firsthand, and really gotten to know all those functions. Yeah, and I would imagine too, as somebody who started coming to the library and never stopped, right? Mm-hmm. That the ways that things have changed over time has probably, especially you mentioned how long you've been here in Chesterfield. Mm-hmm. I can imagine that given that time frame, just the way libraries have changed and grown and evolved has been a lot of fun for somebody like you. As I mentioned in the intro, you are the new director of Chesterfield Public Library. I can imagine it was a pretty momentous occasion when you got the official word that was going to be the case. What was it about the library, and specifically Chesterfield, that made you seek out such a position? It's interesting. I didn't always want to be a library director. It's never something I don't think that I am ambitious in that way.
That's something you aspired for.
It's something that for some years when I was first starting in libraries, when I was an assistant branch manager, I was like, this is what I'm good at. I'm great at operations. I'm great at making things happen. Not that directors don't, but it's on that ground level, Yeah. And there's always a bias towards action with me. It's like, let's get this done. Let's work together. Right. And it was only in the past few years, I suppose, that as I progressed through the organization, that I started seeing if I was doing this at the director level,
right.
I know all these functions and I know I have good people in these positions. And my mindset has become more of an architect, right? Okay. Which is, how do I pull all these functions together to make the things happen? I don't have to be the one doing them because I've got great people doing the work.
Right.
So I create the conditions for those people to do their best. And I just kind of guide them along.
Yeah.
And, there's a vision component to leadership.
Right.
And I think that can look different for different people.
Right.
And I have a vision, but it's grounded in what we are doing right now and what we can continue to do and expand upon. Right. And you have to have an open-mindedness about what can libraries be and be open to what the community wants and what all your stakeholders want. And I think I'm good at listening, which is helpful there. Right. So that's really where I'm coming from in terms of wanting to be the director of the library system, is that I think I know I can do this because I've been doing it for years and just like this is the road that I've been on. Right.
And a real quick follow-up, I'm curious, what did it, like, and I'm trying to encapsulate how to phrase this, but like, what did it mean to you to sort of be chosen for that, be entrusted with that, as somebody who libraries are just, they are clearly special to you, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of the library, the physical locations, what those locations do in each community. What did it mean to you to be named director?
It was huge. It is huge. It's a great honor. It's a great responsibility, and it's something that I take very seriously. And I know that everyone in the library takes it very seriously. Yeah. We're all public servants, and servant leadership is a core part of who we are. Mm-hmm. And that's not just going in and clocking out. Right. That, this is something that stays with you all the time. Right. The good news is that that's a great thing because you get to see every day how you are impacting people's lives. Yeah. And you have that direct feedback of people telling you the stories of, library changed my life. Library has had a huge impact on my life. Right. So being able to be the head of that or the leader of that organization and working with a bunch of people that are all as passionate as they are about that, it's so fulfilling. Yeah. And I, of course, if I hadn't gotten the position, I would still be working really, really hard, but being able to work more closely and coordinate efforts and lead this team, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Along those same lines, you mentioned vision a minute ago. I think anytime there's any sort of transition like this, there's an implied sort of curiosity about what that change might mean for an organization. So, maybe not just the organization, right? The team, the group, the people, I'm curious what you think this change means for CPL and how you see the future of the system here in Chesterfield County.
The good news is that library is already doing wonderful things. Right, yeah. The library is one, I know it for a fact, it's one of the most appreciated services that the county offers. We're so forward facing. We interact with so many people. Right. We had 1 million visits last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that is the case. So we are absolutely on the right track. Right. There's some things as during my years in the library system, of course, I've thought to myself, maybe we should explore this. Maybe we should try this. Yeah. And a lot of it is grounded in having developed a really strong approach to getting customer feedback on a regular basis, right? Because that's where you want to, if you're going to change something, that's where you want to start. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. There are lots of good ideas out there, but you want to, the resources are there, and they're, the taxpayers are providing for this library service. Right. And so we want to do what they want us to do. Right. And so I'm seeing, when you talk about the future of libraries generally, there are some things that we know are on the horizon. Right. Technology, of course, it changes rapidly. Things like artificial intelligence, that's a huge thing that's in the knowledge workers world that everyone's grappling with.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like librarians, folks who work at libraries, are not just people who like here's how you. They're almost teaching people constantly.
Yeah, it's people describe us in so many ways because the libraries are so many things for so many people these days, right? And so we're not teachers in the strict sense.
Right.
We're not holding a class on things. We do have classes, but it's not our job to get you in there in the morning and send you home at night, right? So there is a teaching component. There is a counselor component,
right? Yeah.
Because when people come into us, they come in with some kind of a need, right?
Yeah.
And it's through interacting with that person and having a conversation with them that all of a sudden these other needs emerge, and you learn about them, and you learn how to tailor and customize what resources you need to bring to that conversation for them. Saying, hey, do you know about this? Or let me show you this resource, or whatever it is. And in fact, let me connect you with that resource.
As we talked about when you were on the first time, and I kind of want to retread a little bit, is the idea of just the ways that libraries have become so much more. They've always been more, probably more than those of us on the outside even realize. But especially now, they are so much more than just a place where people check out books, right? And patrons of the library, you think of customer service. I mean, throughout our organization, I know that is a huge focus for every department, however it applies. And here, as you said, you've got people who are coming in for, all different walks of life, who have all different types of needs, informational, situational, community focused. There's a lot that goes on in these buildings. How would you describe the way you see libraries fitting into the community and why they are so vital these days?
You're absolutely right. The libraries have evolved, and there's good reason for it. There's a bunch of reasons for it. Libraries, have had to evolve because we used to be the place where we had all of the knowledge, and if you wanted to access it, you had to physically come to the library,
had to physically go in the building,
right, and that changed, and so. Libraries had to think about, okay, what are the other needs and information needs and knowledge needs of people in our community now that they can access information much more easily. And so some of that evolution has been, well, what are the resources we need to curate here that people perhaps don't have easy access to? So kind of authoritative resources, things that we subscribe to that perhaps not everyone can subscribe to. And then there's also this information literacy, like what am I supposed to do with this information now? And how do I know it's actually good, accurate information?
Absolutely,
right? So it kind of started there, I think, and then there was another evolution for us, and our library system has done particularly well on this front, and that is partnering with other county agencies, community organizations, by expanding our own idea of what the library is and going out into the community, embedding ourselves in other organizations in the community and listening and saying, what are the community needs? And what can we bring to bear to address those needs, right? So that's made us evolve into something more of a community center.
In a lot of ways,
Right, which is a great thing because the libraries are situated so that you have a library in almost every community. We develop the buildings and the locations. So hopefully no one has more than a 10-minute drive time to a library. You're right there in the community. You've got the facilities, you've got technology, you've got information, you've got specialists and experts in information to help you. And the hours are convenient. So being a place where we can distribute things for people, and it might not be books, just became a natural fit for us.
And along those same lines, I'd love to get your thoughts on the collection of materials that are now offered at a couple locations related to addiction, and specifically put together, those resources for those who, whether it's those who might be, or maybe they have loved ones who might be dealing with substance use. How did all that come together, and what's been the response? Because I think that's just a perfect illustration of the way you were talking about, sort of the way the library embeds itself into other organizations and the work that those organizations and other departments in the county are doing. For example, that work. How did this kind of happen, and what's been that response so far?
Yeah, you're right. This is a perfect example of that very concept. It's to kind of speak to how it originated, right? We have a community services department in the library, and they do focus on developing partnerships. Everyone in the library is focused on that, but they're very specifically focused on it. And this is the result of years of investment in working with other departments. Yeah. And so Jen Shepley, who I'm gonna call her out because she is just amazing. She is the manager of our community services department. She made sure that she was attending, community meetings and department kind of coalitions, et cetera. Yeah. And so when the opioid crisis came to really, ahead, right. And everyone really started saying, we need to do something about this, right? Maybe the libraries weren't the top of people's list on that, but because she was there and she was at the table, she could say, we can help. We can do something. If people need to know more about this, if people need to access tools that will help them with this, we are a place that can distribute that. Yeah. And so I guess it really started in the early days more with the Narcan training for staff and the distribution and the fentanyl strips and the medication disposal kits. Yes. And so it just blossomed into this, well, if we can do that, we can do that. Yeah. And eventually, yes, because of that relationship, Jen was working with the Virginia Opioid Abatement Authority. Right. And her and Jennifer Patterson developed this plan. Well, what about a collection? Yeah. What about an actual physical collection for people to learn more about it, or for people to access books about other people's stories, which, as we know in a library, that's part of how people learn, is about learning about other people's experiences. Right. And so they developed that. We got a grant in partnership with that organization and placed that collection at 3 of our locations. Right. And they're very thoughtful about it in that people don't have to actually check out those books, right? Because you want to remove any barrier that people might be embarrassed, or people might be hesitant, or whatever, or worried that someone's paying attention to their habits, right? Yeah. So that collection, there's about 1,300 books. That's at 3 locations, and it's they've already had to restock at the locations, so people are definitely accessing that collection.
And to your point, it's funny because I was sitting here and it sort of dawned on me that, it's very rare because, in what we do, we're often trying to help various departments promote various things. And it's very unusual for me to be in those types of meetings and not have somebody from libraries there. Right. Because, whether it's, things like Black History Month, or there's always programming going on at the libraries, there's always information there. But then certainly the way, as you mentioned, the sort of the embedding of the library in all of the ways that it can, even, just a little bit, make an impact on this specific issue for this specific reason. It's kind of remarkable, honestly, to sort of see it playing out that way, because like I said, it's just very rare. Whether we're talking, like I said, Black History Month or Rev War 250, or to be in these places and there not be a voice from the library saying, "Hey, we can help with that," or "Hey, what about this?" And I think that is kind of goes to your earlier point, just sort of about the sort of grander way that libraries serve communities idea, right? Hey, if you want this, it's here, and if you want more, we can figure out how to make that happen. And I think that's a true testament to the librarians such as yourself, folks who are, have been doing this work, who have been living this for so long. Right. Before I get you out of here, let me get you this last one. We've touched on a lot of various different things, obviously, today, but as the new director of CPL, what do you want people to know about the library, not just the physical building, but the services that those buildings provide? Yeah.
There's so many things I could say. One of the things about the library kind of operating in a slightly expanded role is that every time you mention something slightly out of the norm, people say, "Oh, I didn't know that," but then it's pretty quickly followed by, "But you know what, that makes total sense." Right. And that's what we're striving for, in all of those things. I think that, my goal particularly for the next 3 to 6 months,
Yeah.
is going out and doing a lot of listening.
Yeah.
So rather than me telling people what the library does, I want people to tell me
Right.
what they want to see out of the
That's
library and what they want to see in their community.
Right.
And then I can bring up,
Yeah.
you know, the library can help with that, or
Right.
the library can be a part of that.
Yeah.
And even if we aren't currently, just knowing in that kind of architect frame of mind, you
Right.
know, knowing all of the resources that we have and the skills and the
Right.
passion,
Right.
it's like we could easily
Yeah.
play a part in that.
Right.
So that's really what I want to do. Like a lot of listening. I want to go out there with fresh eyes. I've
Yeah.
been here for a long time. And you know, it's my turn to kind of really step back
Yeah.
and to look at things and be like, okay,
Yeah.
let's see where we're at here.
Right. Well, Carolyn, I really appreciate you coming on the show again and talking to us not only about being the new director, but obviously all the various things that the library does. And very much appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Make sure you check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's at Chesterfield VA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield, Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, make sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever it is that your shows are sold. And if you're so inclined to give us a rating or review, we appreciate that. As always, a video version of our show is available on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website at Chesterfield.gov/podcast. That's where you can submit feedback anytime, make a suggestion, or just reach out to us. You can watch the show on WCCT Thursdays through Sunday at 7, on the weekends at noon. That is Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, check out Chesterfield.gov/connect us to find out a number of other ways to connect with Chesterfield County. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith, my executive producer, Teresa, Bonifas, and all the good folks from Constituent Media Services for all they do. My thanks to you for joining us today. So from all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks again for making us part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care. From blogs to podcasts.
And I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again.
Weekly video segments and newsletters.
Social media, the latest community news,
And this is your Chesterfield News Minute for September 19th.
how to get in touch, and everything in between. If you want to know about Chesterfield County, our Connect With Us webpage has you covered. Chesterfield.gov/connect with us. Connect with us, your source for all things Chesterfield.